And MVP, of course, the best Terran in the world. Here he is, and you know, someone pointed out cleverly that in you know, if there's Terran's not winning something, MVP comes along and wins stuff.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
I mean, he can go through anything. He can go through Zergs, Protosses, or even other Terrans.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. He's become the Game Genie Terran because he's got so many different build orders. It's really hard to predict what kind of playstyle he's going to have. You guys having fun out there at the Intel Extreme Masters? Hell yeah. See some nerds out there drinking beers, watching StarCraft. Looks like the world is a great place after all.
It is, but that's obvious because I've actually been talking to people. This tournament, we normally get more cheeses in a GSL Finals, but here we've had nothing but epic games. Every game is going long. We're always having Broodlords, even in CVZ. How many 30-minute games did we just see?
I actually want to say this right now, and I've been casting tournaments for like almost 8 years now. This tournament has produced overall the best games I have ever seen. Overall, I have never been to a tournament that has had an insane game back-to-back like this. And that's saying a lot because as far as esports goes, I'm a dinosaur. All right, let's introduce our players, and I want you guys to make a lot of noise here. In the upper left, in the blue, we have the most successful StarCraft 2 player of all time. Give it up for MVP. And in the bottom right, we have our Zerg player, brother of Lucifron, taking out every Terran player in his path with his unique style. Can he do it here? Give it up for VortiX.
This is just so exciting. I can't wait to see, can VortiX just destroy every Terran in the world, or will the one Terran that gives other Terrans hope give other people hope?
We're going to see, man. Right off the bat, let's just go ahead and talk about the map because it's going to be a little bit before we can talk about what the players are doing. They got to get their little pieces set up. So, Zerg is fine here and here for expansion. So, up to the mid game, the Zerg is fine. It starts to get a little bit tricky after that because, as you can see, the expansion over here as well as the expansion all the way over here, they're a little bit closer to the Terran's main base. And the way that the Terran actually operates is they try to build up a big army and push out.
Yeah.
And the closer you are to the Terran, generally speaking, the more of a disadvantage you have because there's less time for you to build up an army and stop focusing on an economy. So it's a pretty hefty switch to make. And that's going to be something that MVP is fully aware of and will probably try to abuse in any way he can.
Yeah, well, we do see MVP going for that command center first. Just such a common build order right now because, you know, Zergs just have to go for economy. Zergling rushes are not any good against Terran. And VortiX harassing slightly, but this won't last for long. He's going to have to go home soon.
And that is simply to force an SCV off of the minerals over here. You know, you wouldn't think it, but one SCV not mining actually adds up to a lot of minerals. And that's just one of these things that he's going to do every single time he sees that.
Yeah.
Try to pull that drone off.
That's right. And oh my God, he just lost the drone to an SCV. Uh-oh, maybe the pressure is going on right now for VortiX. This is so uncommon. At the pro level, you'll never see this happen.
Well, you know what's funny is that I've talked to a lot of pro gamers, and a lot of times they say that the semifinals in a way are almost scarier than the finals because
right?
you are so close to being to the pinnacle. People remember finals, Artosis. They don't always remember the semifinals.
Except at the GSL.
That's right, except at the GSL where semifinals always turn out to be more entertaining. But seriously, you know, it's hard to get this deep at a tournament, and there's so much on the line here. This is really, you know, the ultimate feat. If you get to the finals, well, you know, to hell with it. I'll try my best and see what I can do. But hey, here I am. I finally did it. Now we'll see if Nergio, or excuse me, I don't know why I just called him Nergio, if VortiX, you know, manages to play well. It's hard to say. It's funny too because every game that we cast of VortiX, he tends to play poorly at the start, either losing a hatchery or something else, and then by the end of the game, he's kicking ass.
Yeah. That's so true. His early game really is his weakness, but the mid game and the late game, if he has anything at all, he can make something happen. Now, we do have a kind of interesting build here by MVP. He's going straight into double gas. And we've been seeing a lot this weekend, the Terran going into single gas just to get up to those quick reactor Hellions. But with the double gas that quick, the second gas being made pretty soon after the first, wouldn't be surprised if we actually see cloaked Banshees here out of MVP. And of course, you know, he's talked with 4GG, he's talked with Supernova, I have no doubt, about those games. I'm sure he's watched them. And he's found out that, hey, if you go a well-controlled reactor Hellion plus cloaked Banshee, odds are you're going to end up killing VortiX's third base.
And I want to echo what you're saying there, Tosis. You know, these Korean players, they might be on different teams, but the Koreans have a lot of pride. And when it comes to a moment like this, there's only one Korean left. They want to have a Korean in the finals. They want a Korean to win the finals. So no doubt they all sat down and talked about what they might, what MVP probably needs to do in order to take out VortiX.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's why I'm betting on MVP here to actually have a really good showing. You know, there's just, VortiX has played just, you know, in the last couple days, 5 super high level ZVT games, which really showcase his style, his strengths, his weaknesses, and he didn't really, you know, variate very much from what he was doing.
All right, so the third hatchery on the way. And before this picks up, I do want to highlight something. Why is MVP the most accomplished Terran, most accomplished StarCraft 2 player in the world? It's not just because he's got great unit control or micro. It's not just because he has good economics or macro. It's primarily, and please feel free to disagree with me if you want, Artosis. I want to know your opinion too. I feel that he actually selects the build orders in the best possible order.
Yeah, he definitely studies his opponents completely and figures out what order should I do this in, what will this do them mentally, what will this do to their plans on these maps. I have to agree with you, Tasis. He's really superb at picking build orders, better than, I think, any other Terran.
And I mean, that's why he's so good in a best of 5. It's so hard to beat MVP in a best of 5. He knows when to cheese and when to macro and when to do a timing. It's insane. All right, game now picking up. Hellions coming down here. No drones to be taken out.
Yes, be careful though. A lot of Lings on the way with speed. Good creep spread so far by VortiX, but he only has those 2 queens as anti-air. So if he can deal with those queens, then MVP is going to have his Banshees just reign supreme.
All right, so he backs up a little bit. Now you got to remember that VortiX has actually lost his third hatchery so many times in this tournament. I've lost count, and he's also won every single game that he loses that hatch at. So you can see he does not even want to send drones over there. He's already trying to come up with some kind of plan that, okay, if this does happen, I don't want to be too far behind. He probably will not transfer drones here until he feels completely safe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tasis. We do have a little counterattack with some Zerglings. Took out a few Marines, going to kill, I don't think he got any SCVs, but a little bit of harassment there going on, which does slow down the micro of these Hellions for MVP.
And the Hellions are now coming down. We may see a scan here. No, we will not. He's going to try to go up.
Oh, that's a lot of Hellions, and the Zerglings coming out. The Hellions do go into the corner, which traps them, but at the same time, the Zerglings have to clump up quite a bit.
All right, here come the Hellions now. There are no drones over here. By the way, nice Banshee defense. Caught the tail into that. Oh. And he can go up the ramp now.
That's right. VortiX doing a much better job today defending. Hasn't really lost drones yet, but these Hellions are coming in now. He's going after the drones, starting to kill a few here, and they're already 8 killed. This is getting a little bit dangerous, and 11 killed already.
11 drones going down. You know, to be honest, ideally he would have wanted to pick off a little bit more than that. So it's not too bad here for VortiX. By the way, 9 mutas on the way, 1 Viking out here, and I wish we'd see this more often, that 1 Viking being built. It's there to drive out all the Overlords, although as you can see, the Overlords are actually all back in the base. He actually did not put Overlords all over the map. So this Viking, I guess in this case, is somewhat of a waste. You can see he's got these waypoints set up here to find anything that's hidden. Not going to find a thing.
Tasteless. You know what? I mean, he has his army already. He's making 2 tech labs on his facts, but 9 mutas just popped. If these mutas go straight for the main base of MVP, who right now has things that hit air, a Viking. If he goes straight to the main base, MVP is going to take so much damage that it's going to be hard to recover.
We got Lings going up here to check. He may try to attack this base over here once the mutas come in there, and they are coming in evacuated almost preemptively by MVP, hitting these SCVs, doing a ton of damage. No real defense here. MVP in a lot of trouble.
He has nothing that hits air except for one Viking, and you can ignore that Viking if you want. He will go ahead and take it down, but he can just ravage everything tasteless.
What is he doing?
He has to run the SCVs somewhere because the Mutas are just going to kill him off, but realistically, he should be sending these Mutas back to the main base. The Thors are not done even now.
This is actually almost to the point of no return, man.
Guys, this is insane,
You can't actually not be mining. I don't know if it looks like MVP might have tried to take a risk. And, oh, hold that thought.
Oh
Drones
my
come down
God.
here.
This is so important that these Hellions got in here. If they had an MVP, would be just about dead at the moment. Beautifully done by MVP, killing a ton of drones.
Yeah, and they're not even done yet. Unbelievable stuff. Meanwhile, the Mutas continuing to do some more damage here, hitting those SCVs. What are the workers killed here?
All right. So MVP at this point has killed 34 drones. That is huge. VortiX, on the other hand, he's killed 22 SCVs, both huge numbers. MVP really saving his behind there by sending the Hellions across the map.
All right. Pretty insane situation. Both these guys taking a lot of damage, but the game continues to move on. Thors are out. Now, you got to remember the factory units are very expensive. These factories are only set up because he knows when he's getting that income, assuming that he's mining that entire time, he can be able to make out of those factories. So to not be mining once those factories finish causes a massive hiccup in his production.
Yeah. Well, this unit composition that's popping out for MVP is super powerful. There's going to be a lot of Hellions in there. No Blue Flame quite yet, which is interesting, but he's going to hit 2-2. A lot of Thors and Banshees as well. Very difficult to actually combat this, especially when you're on basically just Lings right now with a switch into Infestors.
And as you can see, the fourth base is now being taken. And, well, it's going to be a little bit of downtime here as they're both trying to build back up. They did a lot of damage to each other. We see, the Mech army being upgraded heavily. What do you think about Mech on this map, Artosis?
Well, you know what? The smaller the map, the better the Mech. It doesn't take as long for it to get across. This map is also very thin, so there's just not that much room to maneuver around it and not that far to push. It's a great map for Mech, and it's going to be very hard to stop.
All right, we got the army now building up here. Let's take a look at what units we have out now. 4 Thors, 3 Banshees, 4 tanks, 10 Hellions, meanwhile 57 Zerglings, and 6 Mutalisks. So he is, for the time being, going to be massing up pretty heavily. He does have 6 Infestors on the way, which is going to be incredibly useful.
And now we have 12 Banelings being made, which is quite interesting, because Banelings are not really good against any of these units. But look at this, surrounding the Hellions, a huge moment for VortiX.
Very nicely done there, because when you're doing a Mech build like this, you actually want the Hellions to be around the Thors.
Yeah.
Thors are not going to be good against Zerglings. They're good against, big, scary stuff. Like, for instance, a Siege tank, Thor just destroys immediately. But in this case, this is really bad. Oh, you know what's possible, Artosis?
What?
Because the Zerg, well, let me say it simply, and then I'll explain why it's interesting. I think he's going to completely turtle out and try to starve the Zerg out.
Yes, I think you're right.
That's exactly what he's doing. These are going to be planetaries, making turrets and a sensor tower here. Okay, so here's why this is good. As you can see, Terran's on the 3rd base, Zerg's on a 4th. Now, Zerg, the way they operate, they're always supposed to be 1 base ahead. If you see a Zerg on 2 bases and a Terran on 2 bases, and it stays like that for 5 minutes, it means the Zerg is losing. That's just the way they work economically. So right now they're fine, but then look at the way the map's made. How many bases are left with the Terran? 1, 2. How many are left with the Zerg? Just 1, where this Hellion is. So if he just turtles out, the Zerg is going to try to take this base over here, and then eventually he's going to run out of money before the Terran does, because the Terran expands later. So then what happens? Well, I mean, he dries up, and then eventually MVP packs his bags, heads south, and tries and just destroys the Zerg. So this is going to be interesting. I believe the way this game is actually going to work out is VortiX will have to kill MVP somewhere between now and the 30-minute marker, or 35-minute marker, or he's going to get starved out.
Well, that was just about the best analysis you could have for this situation. Taste was completely true, but Broodlord's already on the way. This army of MVP is as cost-efficient as you can get, so we're going to have to see that out of VortiX, too. He's going to make a lot of broods. He has to keep his Infestors alive, have a good number of Corruptors as well, and also watch out for Ravens. The Ravens already have their additional energy upgrade, but no Seeker Missile quite yet.
As you can see, the Broodlords are out. Now, don't forget, guys, VortiX has the best Broodlord pushes I have ever seen. Ever.
Now, one thing I'm a little bit scared about here, Tasteless, is the fact that we don't have a lot of Vikings out. He has 2 Vikings out, 2 more on the way. Other than that, he has a bunch of Ravens with Secret Missile not yet done, and just 4 Thors. So that's not much anti-air once again for MVP.
All right, a planetary on the way. It looks like VortiX has decided the center right location is where he should attack, but meanwhile, Hellion's down here.
And those Hellions going to kill so many drones, but at the same time, VortiX's push is beginning. Just Lings being sent to clean these up.
All right. Banshee's coming out here trying to take out these queens, but an Overseer's here to help defend. The planetary not quite finished yet, taking a lot of damage.
That's right, a lot of damage indeed. All these Siege Tanks, Thors, and Vikings coming up. He really needs that Secret Missile upgrade to actually finish. Uh-oh, he's got to watch out, though. These Corruptors are clumping up, and that's helping the Thors out.
All right, he just needs to get underneath these Broodlords here. A lot of damage being dished out, but it almost seems like there's just enough on the ground here that the planetary can take it out. Transfusion's coming in here. MVP needs to hold this position, Artosis, no matter what.
Yeah, he cannot lose this base right now. He has to kill off this army. It's going to be very difficult, though. And in fact, one of the Ravens gets picked off. Secret Missile just finished, and here we go. Secret Missiles being launched. Some pretty decent connections. But, well, I guess that should be enough to hold this off for now, Tasteless.
He barely survived that attack. That was so unbelievably close. As you can see, the supplies both knocked down to even right now, and this game's going to move on.
It is indeed. Still a lot of Siege Tanks out there, but not a lot of anti-air for MVP. In fact, he lost every Raven, and that is a huge investment down the toilet.
At the same time, losing every Broodlord, really bad news as well. He's not done pushing, though. He's going to keep making Broodlords. Again, right now, focus of this game is going to be this position right here. MVP needs to hold this, or VortiX needs to take it out. Eventually, as the game passes on, it will be this location over here.
Yep. Well, that MVP only needs to hold 1 base right now out of those 2. He can get the other one later. Terran can play 1 base down against Zerg, which is basically what he's doing here. He can take that other base later on and be fine. But he needs to get his Raven count up and his Viking count up because these Broodlords are being made very quickly by our Zerg player.
All right, again, the supply is virtually the same right now. He is getting into position. All right, again, not really a lot of turrets here, just this one over here, not a lot of bunkers. In fact, the sensor tower over here will be very handy as well. Now, what he wants to do is bait the Corruptors into the Thor volleys.
That's right. If he can do that, it's going to help out a lot because he does have 8 Vikings and 5 Thors. So killing off Corruptors will just enable him to kill everything else off in just a matter of seconds. And here we go. He's moving forward with all of his anti-air. A lot of splash damage being done right now. The Corruptors taking a lot, but the Queens are here to heal them right up.
All right, a lot of damage being dealt right now. The Corruptors taking a lot of hits. Now the Broodlord's back here. About 4 of them remain, but the Thor is pushed back.
And here comes a Raven. Never gets a cast its spell, though. And it looks like, has he actually held this with these 4 Thors left over, targeting down all the rest of these Broodlords? It looks like he has.
All right, he has once again managed to hold it off. This is so intense right now. A lot of back and forth. Ideally, what he would want to do is actually push out here and kill off some of these creep tumors. This is basically Zerg territory right outside the Terran base. Note that there's been so much action here. This base has actually barely been mined. Let's do a mineral check real quick here. This base looking fine. The natural almost dried up. Here it's fine as well, and here's fine as well. Now, in the next, I would say 10 minutes, it's going to look very different. Oh my God, coming up here, he could get these Broodlords before they finish.
Oh my God, and he does get them. Look at that, all but 1 destroyed, but it looks like he may end up losing almost the entirety of his mech army because of it.
All right, he's getting hit pretty hard here. The Broodlords taking a lot of damage back there, but at the same time, if you lose the Thors, what's over here to defend?
Well, he needs to keep those alive. He needs to have something up here. At this point, he's lost almost all of his Siege Tanks, only 2 left over. In fact, at this point, if somehow VortiX could do a switch into like roaches or something, it would be super powerful because all that's left for MVP is basically Vikings and a few Thors.
All right, he's doing a great job. So much back and forth here, driving out those Broodlords here. The Queen running as well. This is getting pretty ugly here. I'm actually amazed that MVP actually did manage to push out there. This has basically been a back and forth that's been going on for about, what, 6 or 7 minutes now, Artosis?
Right now, MVP switching over his upgrades to ship weapons and ship armor. He has finished up all the mech upgrades, so he is really still going for that supreme late game. But his starport count isn't really that high, so it's going to take him a while to get his Vikings up and to switch back into Ravens, which really you do need in this super long game in TVZ.
Yeah, you really do need it. As you can see here, this command center going to be planted right over here. Now, I don't know if the Zerg, well, actually, as I said that, I was going to say, I don't know if the Zerg's going to check, but then the Zerg checks. So now he knows. Now, this location, you know, how do I say this correctly?
It's not defendable?
It's not really defendable, but at the same time, the Zerg can't expand here.
Yeah.
So this game could get really interesting if, let's say, it goes on for even longer. Hold that thought, though. Hellions coming in here doing a lot of damage, hitting the Queen.
They'll be able to take out that Queen very easily. A lot of these Lings going up for this round, but these are Blue Flame Hellions with +3 attack, so it takes them just a matter of seconds to clean up Zerglings. And the Broodlords coming over, though, will send them away.
All right. Lots of Broodlords out here. In fact, there's, what, 9? Now, look, I don't know if he can actually get the spot over here.
Well, you know, the flying army is pretty good right now. We do have Blue Flame Hellions going down to this 5th base, and they're going to fry just about every single drone. Oh, my God. Literally. At this point, MVP has killed 81 drones.
More Hellions coming down here now. We might be hitting 100 pretty soon.
And it looks like they're going to kill a lot of Zerglings, some more drones as well. It's up to 85. I'm sure he'll get there eventually, Tasteless.
All right, again, the Hellions over here hitting this hatchery. And what does VortiX have to answer with this? He says he wants to push. And again, remember, if MVP loses this, this is the most important position on the map. By the way, briefly, this hatchery destroyed, but back up here.
We do have all these corruptors going up, but it looks like there is not enough. That is a huge Viking count. There are no infestors on the battlefield whatsoever, despite having 2,000 gas. And that means VortiX is going to lose every single Broodlord.
GG. Wow. It's kind of funny. I thought it was going to be a pretty drawn-out game back and forth, and then 3 or 4 bad things happened.
Yeah,
about 10
VortiX,
seconds, and suddenly he lost.
VortiX was really trying to end that quickly. In fact, so quickly, he never remade infestors. And without those infestors, you can't really control the Vikings, and it can get out of control. That, on top of the fact that MVP killed so many drones and constantly harassed his economy, VortiX just decided, he had to go for it.
What's funny about it is that it's not even that VortiX did a bad job pushing with the Broodlords. He actually did a great job doing that. The problem is that he wasn't able to deal with all the other stuff that was going on at the same time. I mean, what really actually happened there, guys, was not the Broodlord army was killed. It's that the Hellions got down to the 5th base, killed all the drones. VortiX had a weird situation. He says, okay, I'm already behind. I've kind of been struggling this entire game. I can run in there and just do an all-in right now and just try to take out that base because I think I've got a lot of stuff. I could probably pull it off right now. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm Zerg. I'm on this map. The longer it goes, the harder it is for me. Or I can go back and defend. So he looked at that and he said, all right, well, this is already not going well. Let me go ahead and just attack and see if this works. It didn't.
Yeah. The speed of the Hive, too, seemed to have caught MVP off guard. Actually, it's interesting. I was talking to Sake about this. A lot of Korean Zergs just neglect Hive for a little bit. You can actually afford it a lot earlier than many are getting it. And as we've seen this weekend, for instance, Slivko and VortiX, they get that Hive very quickly and will go right into Broodlords if you give them the opportunity.